r/pettyrevenge dad chose stepmom over me at wedding, so I ruined their honeymoon. I'm standing in the back row of my own father's wedding, watching him slide my dead mother's ring onto another woman's finger, and I swear I can feel something inside me snap. The worst part? He doesn't even look back at me. Not once. His eyes are locked on Linda like she's the only person in the world, while her precious little angels stand right there in the front as his groomsmen and flower girl. Meanwhile, I'm practically sitting with the catering staff. "You may kiss the bride," the officiant announces, and I watch my father, the man who used to read me bedtime stories and taught me how to ride a bike, pour all his love into kissing a woman who spent the last 3 years systematically erasing me from his life. The applause erupts around me. Linda's family whoops and hollers from their prime seats. Her kids beam like they've just won the lottery. And there I am, 22 years old, dressed in the outfit I bought with my grocery money, feeling like a stranger at what should have been a family celebration. I should have known this was coming when Dad asked me to be an usher instead of his best man. "Linda thinks it might be awkward," he'd said, not meeting my eyes. "You understand, right, kiddo? We want everyone to feel comfortable." Everyone. Everyone except his actual child, apparently. But the ring, God, the ring is what really gets me. That delicate band with the tiny diamond that my mom wore every single day until cancer took her when I was 15. The ring Dad swore he'd keep safe. The ring he promised would always remind him of their love story. I guess love stories have expiration dates. Linda's oldest son, Jake, turns around and smirks at me from his position next to Dad. 13 years old and already a master manipulator, just like his mother. He's been calling Dad Pops for exactly 6 months now, ever since Linda gently suggested that it would help blend the families. Meanwhile, I've been slowly demoted from son to occasional weekend visitor to wedding afterthought. The receiving line forms, and I watch person after person congratulate the beautiful family. Linda's relatives gush over how wonderful it is that she found such a devoted father figure for her children. Dad's friends shake his hand and tell him how lucky he is to get a second chance at happiness. Nobody mentions that his first chance at happiness produced a kid who's apparently invisible now. I make my way through the line, and when I reach Dad, he gives me this awkward side hug, the kind you'd give a distant cousin you see once a year. "Thanks for being here, buddy," he says, already looking past me to the next person. Buddy. Not son. Not kiddo. Buddy. Linda doesn't even acknowledge me beyond a tight smile that doesn't reach her eyes. She's too busy accepting compliments on her ring. As I walk away, I hear Jake loudly asking Dad if they can go to Disney World for their family moon trip next month. Apparently Linda's saving the real honeymoon, Belize, 5-star resort, 10 days of paradise, for just the two of them. That's when the idea hits me like a lightning bolt. I pull out my phone and start searching for flights to Belize. If Dad wants to prioritize his new wife's happiness over everything else, fine. But that doesn't mean I have to make it easy for him. Sometimes the best wedding gift is the one nobody sees coming. The reception is somehow even worse than the ceremony. I'm seated at table 9, not with family, not with Dad's old friends, but with Linda's coworkers from the dental office where she works. They spend the entire dinner talking about root canals and complaining about difficult patients while I push rubbery chicken around my plate. From my exile, I have a perfect view of the head table where Dad keeps making toasts about new beginnings and blended families. Linda's daughter Emma, all of 8 years old, sits in the chair that should have been mine, giggling as Dad teaches her how to clink glasses properly. It's the same patient, gentle voice he used with me when I was little, except now it's reserved for someone else's kid. Jake keeps shooting me these smug looks from his spot right next to Dad. The little psychopath knows exactly what he's doing. Earlier, I overheard him telling relatives that I'm Dad's old family and they're Dad's new family. When I confronted him about it, he just shrugged and said, "That's what Mom told me to say." Of course she did. The worst part comes during the father-daughter dance. Instead of dancing with me, his actual child, Dad takes both Emma and Linda's teenage daughter Sophia onto the floor while Butterfly Kisses plays. The photographer captures every moment like it's some heartwarming family scene instead of a complete erasure of his daughter. I excuse myself to the bathroom and spend 10 minutes in a stall researching the resort in Belize. Coral Paradise Resort and Spa. Adults only. 5-star reviews. Private beach. Couples massage packages. The honeymoon suite costs $800 a night, which explains why Linda picked it. She's always had expensive taste, especially when someone else is paying. The flights are going to destroy my savings account. Spring break in Belize instead of staying home and working extra shifts at the campus bookstore? It's financial suicide for a college student living on ramen and scholarship money. But as I hear the crowd laughing at Dad's speech through the bathroom door, something about how Linda completed his family, I don't care anymore. I book everything on my phone. Flight leaving 2 days after theirs. Same resort. 7 nights in a standard room that will cost me 3 months of grocery money. When I return to my table, the dental hygienists are deep in conversation about someone's infected wisdom teeth. I'm checking the resort's activity schedule when my phone buzzes with a text from my roommate Chloe. "How's the wedding from hell?" Instead of answering, I screenshot the booking confirmation and send it to her. Her response is immediate. "What did you do?" "Something I should have done 3 years ago," I type back. Standing up for myself. The dancing starts, and I watch Dad spin Linda around the floor like they're the only 2 people in the world. Her kids cheer from the sidelines. His kid, me, plans revenge from table 9. A slow song comes on, and I see Linda whisper something in Dad's ear that makes him laugh. They're probably talking about their romantic getaway, their chance to finally be alone after months of wedding planning. 10 days of pure paradise where they can forget about everyone else and just focus on their love. I take another bite of rubber chicken and smile for the first time all evening. Paradise is about to get very crowded. By the time they cut the cake, Linda feeding Dad a bite while her kids giggle and clap, I've already started planning exactly how to make their dream honeymoon into something they'll never forget. Or forgive. The week between the wedding and their departure passes in a blur of preparation and second guessing. I throw myself into research mode, treating this like the most important final exam of my college career. Resort layout, activity schedules, restaurant reservations, spa treatments. I memorize every detail of Coral Paradise Resort like my life depends on it. Chloe thinks I've lost my mind, which is probably accurate. You're going to spend your entire spring break fun stalking your dad and stepmother in Belize, she says, watching me pack sunscreen and resort-appropriate outfits I definitely can't afford. Do you hear how insane that sounds? It's not stalking, I reply, folding a sundress I bought on clearance. It's strategic vacation planning. It's psychotic. Maybe she's right, but I'm too far gone to care. Every time I think about backing out, I remember Dad's face when he slipped Mom's ring onto Linda's finger. The way he looked at her kids like they were precious gifts while treating me like a distant acquaintance. The complete erasure of 22 years of father-daughter history. No. I'm done being the forgotten child who sits quietly in the back row. The night before my flight, Dad calls. It's the first time I've heard from him since the wedding, and for a split second, I think maybe he's finally realized how badly he screwed up. Maybe he wants to apologize for seating me with the dental hygienists and using his dead wife's ring as a prop in his new romance. Hey kiddo, he says, and my heart does this pathetic little flutter of hope. Just wanted to check in before Linda and I head out tomorrow. How are classes going? Classes. Not, how are you feeling about the wedding, or I'm sorry I completely sidelined you at the most important day of my life. Just generic dad small talk. Fine, I manage. How's married life? Oh, it's wonderful. Linda's amazing, she's got this whole honeymoon itinerary planned. Couples massages, private dinners on the beach, snorkeling excursions. She really knows how to make things special. Each word is like a tiny knife. He sounds happier talking about Linda's planning skills than he has about anything involving me in years. That sounds nice, I say, gripping my phone tighter. Yeah, we're really looking forward to some alone time. Just the two of us, no kids, no distractions. Linda deserves to be spoiled after everything she's done for our family. Our family. As if I'm not part of it anymore. As if Linda and her kids have completely replaced the family he had before. Dad, I start, not even sure what I want to say. Maybe this is my chance to tell him how much he's hurt me. Maybe we can fix this before I do something we'll both regret. Oh, hold on honey, he interrupts. Linda needs help with the suitcases. You understand. I'll call you when we get back, okay? Love you. The line goes dead before I can respond. I stare at my phone for a long moment, waiting for the familiar sting of tears, but they don't come. Instead, I feel something colder settle in my chest. Determination, maybe. Or just the final death of whatever hope I'd been carrying that my father might remember he already had a child who loved him. I double-check my flight confirmation and resort reservation. Tomorrow, Dad and Linda fly out at 2 p.m. I leave at 7 p.m. on a different airline. By the time they're settling into their romantic honeymoon suite, I'll be 30,000 feet in the air, preparing to remind them both that some things, and some people, can't just be erased and forgotten. Linda wanted to make things special? Fine. I'll make sure this honeymoon is very, very special indeed. The flight to Belize is a nightmare of turbulence and crying babies, but I barely notice. I'm too busy going over my mental checklist and trying not to think about the credit card bill that's going to arrive next month. $3,000 for a week of revenge, it's either the most empowering thing I've ever done or the most expensive therapy session in history. When I land at Philip S.W. Goldson International Airport, the humid air hits me like a wall. I've never been anywhere tropical before, spring breaks were always spent working double shifts to help with tuition. But as I collect my single battered suitcase from baggage claim, I spot them. Dad and Linda are at the resort shuttle pickup, looking like something out of a travel magazine. She's wearing a flowing white cover-up that probably costs more than my monthly rent, oversized sunglasses perched perfectly on her head. Dad's got on one of those expensive linen shirts that somehow manage to look crisp even after a long flight. They're laughing about something, completely relaxed and happy. My stomach lurches, and for a second I consider turning around and catching the next flight home. What am I even doing here? Chloe was right, this is insane. I'm a broke college student who just spent her emergency fund to, what? Lurk around a resort like some kind of deranged stalker? But then Linda does something that makes my blood boil. She pulls out her phone and starts taking selfies, making sure to angle her left hand so Mom's ring catches the sunlight. She's literally using my mother's memory as a photo prop for her social media. The shuttle ride to Coral Paradise Resort takes 45 minutes, and I spend every second of it staring at the back of their heads 3 rows up. They're already in honeymoon mode, Dad's arm wrapped around Linda's shoulders while she points out scenic views and plans their evening. I catch fragments of their conversation over the engine noise. Private dinner on the beach tomorrow night. Couples massage at the spa. So glad we can finally relax without any complications. Complications. Is that what I am now? The resort is even more gorgeous than the photos suggested. White sand beaches, crystal clear water, palm trees swaying in the breeze like something out of a postcard. Under different circumstances, I might actually be able to enjoy this. But I'm not here for vacation. Check-in is awkward since I arrive at the desk right behind them. Dad's back is to me while he handles the paperwork, but Linda glances over and does a double take. For a moment, I think she recognizes me, but then she just gives me one of those polite resort smiles that rich people use on service workers. Honeymoon suite for Harrison, Dad tells the desk clerk, his voice warm with excitement. Standard room for Harrison, I say when it's my turn, and the clerk doesn't even blink. Different first names, common last name, it happens all the time. But Linda's head snaps around so fast I'm surprised she doesn't get whiplash. Excuse me, she says, those fake sweet dental office customer service skills kicking in. Did you say Harrison? That's such a coincidence, that's my new husband's name too. She's fishing, trying to figure out if this is actually a coincidence or something else. I can see the wheels turning behind those perfectly applied fake eyelashes. Small world, I reply with my brightest smile. I'm Sarah. Sarah Harrison. Dad finally turns around, and I watch his face go through about 6 different emotions in 3 seconds. Confusion, recognition, shock, embarrassment, and finally something that might be panic. What are you doing here? He stammers. Spring break, I say cheerfully. Figured it was time to treat myself to something nice for once. You know how hard I've been working. Linda's grip on Dad's arm tightens, her manicured nails digging in enough to leave marks. This is quite a surprise, she says, but her voice has lost all its warmth. Oh, I'm full of surprises, I tell her. This is going to be such a fun week. The desk clerk hands me my room key, and I notice my hands aren't shaking anymore. Game on. The next morning, I'm up at dawn strategically positioning myself at the beachfront cafe with a perfect view of the resort's main pool area. I've got my laptop open and textbooks spread around like I'm actually here to study, but really I'm conducting surveillance. Dad and Linda emerge from their suite at exactly 9 a.m., looking like they stepped out of a couple's retreat brochure. She's wearing a designer bikini that probably cost more than my car payment, and he's got on swim trunks that still have the resort gift shop tags attached. They're holding hands and whispering to each other as they claim 2 premium lounge chairs by the infinity pool. Perfect. I wait exactly 15 minutes before making my move. Long enough for them to get comfortable and order their first round of overpriced tropical drinks, but not long enough for them to actually relax. Dad. I call out, waving enthusiastically as I approach their little paradise corner. What a coincidence seeing you here. His face goes pale under his barely there vacation tan. Linda's grip tightens on her pina colada so hard I'm surprised the glass doesn't shatter. Sarah, Dad says weakly. I thought you were here to study. I am. But all work and no play, right? I gesture to the empty chair directly across from theirs. Mind if I join you? The view is so much better over here. Before either of them can object, I'm dragging the chair over and settling in with my beach bag. Linda's jaw is clenched so tight she could crack walnuts. Actually, she says through gritted teeth, we were hoping to have some private couple time. I'm sure you understand. Oh, absolutely, I reply, pulling out my sunscreen and making a big show of applying it. Don't mind me. I'll just read my psychology textbook. It's fascinating stuff, all about family dynamics and relationship patterns. Did you know that second marriages have a 67% failure rate? Especially when there are children from previous relationships involved. Dad nearly chokes on his mojito. That's not really appropriate vacation reading material, he says. I think it's very appropriate, I counter. Education never takes a holiday, right? That's what you used to tell me when you'd make me do homework during Christmas break. Linda stands up so abruptly her chair scrapes against the concrete. I need to use the restroom, she announces, then leans down to whisper something in Dad's ear. I catch the words deal with this and ruining everything. The moment she's gone, Dad turns to me with an expression I've never seen before, part anger, part desperation. What the hell are you doing here, Sarah? Having a spring break vacation, I say innocently. Same as you. This is our honeymoon. Do you understand how inappropriate this is? Inappropriate? The word comes out sharper than I intended. You want to talk about inappropriate? How about giving away Mom's wedding ring? How about seating me with strangers at your wedding? How about replacing me with Linda's kids like I never existed? That's not what happened. That's exactly what happened. I lean forward, lowering my voice. But don't worry, Dad. I'm not here to cause problems. I just want to enjoy my vacation. Maybe work on my tan, try some snorkeling, take lots of photos for social media. You know how much people love seeing family vacation pictures. The thread hangs in the air between us. In today's world, social media is everything. One post from me about running into Dad and his new wife on their honeymoon, and Linda's carefully curated image of their perfect romance gets very complicated very quickly. Sarah, please, he says quietly. Can't we discuss this when we get home? We could have discussed it any time in the last 3 years, I reply. But you were too busy playing house with your new family. Linda returns, her smile brittle as glass. Ready for that couple's massage, honey? She asks Dad pointedly. Actually, I pipe up, I was thinking of booking a massage too. Maybe we could do a family package deal? The spa receptionist looks between the three of us with barely concealed confusion as Linda's face cycles through about 12 different shades of red. A family package? Linda repeats, her voice hitting a pitch only dolphins can hear. How thoughtful. We don't really do family packages for couples treatments, the receptionist explains apologetically. Our romantic packages are designed for. That's fine, I interrupt cheerfully. I'll just book something at the same time. What do you have available during their appointment? Dad looks like he wants to crawl under the marble reception desk and disappear forever. Linda, meanwhile, has moved on from red to an alarming purple shade that doesn't match her carefully coordinated resort wear at all. Actually, Linda says through what I can only describe as a customer service smile having a nervous breakdown, maybe we should reschedule. I'm feeling a bit overwhelmed by all the sun. Oh no, I say with exaggerated concern. You can't reschedule your honeymoon spa day because of me. I'd feel terrible. What kind of daughter would that make me? The word daughter lands like a grenade in the pristine spa lobby. The receptionist's eyebrows shoot up to her hairline as she suddenly understands the family dynamics at play here. This just went from awkward to resort gossip worthy in about 3 seconds. Your daughter? The receptionist asks Dad, glancing between me and Linda with newfound interest. Stepdaughter, Linda corrects quickly, but the damage is done. Nothing says blended family harmony like a honeymoon crasher and a bride who looks ready to commit murder with a loofah. How wonderful that you're all vacationing together, the receptionist says with a kind of professional enthusiasm that barely masks her obvious fascination with this train wreck. Very modern. I can practically see Linda's Instagram captions crumbling in real time. She probably had the whole week planned out, romantic couple photos, #newlywedlife hashtags, carefully curated shots of their perfect love story. Kind of hard to maintain that narrative with Dad's baggage literally booking treatments at the same spa. You know what? Dad says suddenly, standing up so fast he nearly knocks over a display of overpriced essential oils. I think we need some fresh air. Linda, why don't we take that walk on the beach we talked about? Ooh, a beach walk sounds lovely, I say, closing my psychology textbook with a loud snap. Mind if I tag along? I've been stuck inside studying all morning. Linda makes a sound that's somewhere between a laugh and a whimper. Actually, Sarah, Dad says, and there's an edge to his voice I remember from when I was 16 and missed curfew. I think we need to have a private conversation. We're having one right now, I point out. A private conversation without an audience, he says pointedly, glancing at the spa receptionist who's pretending to organize brochures while obviously listening to every word. Linda grabs Dad's arm possessively. Maybe we should just go back to our suite, she suggests. We can always do spa treatments tomorrow. Or, I say brightly, we could all grab lunch together. I saw the beachside restaurant has a special on family platters. Perfect for family bonding. The way Linda's left eye starts twitching tells me I've hit my target. This woman spent months planning the perfect romantic getaway, probably down to the minute. Private dinners, sunset walks, couples activities that would look amazing on social media and cement their image as the perfect blended family. Having Dad's actual family show up wasn't part of the itinerary. I'm not really hungry, Linda says weakly. Are you sure? You barely touched breakfast. Dad, you should make sure Linda's eating enough. Stress can really affect the appetite, and planning a wedding is so exhausting. Not to mention adjusting to married life with complications. Dad flinches at my choice of words, the same term Linda used yesterday about wanting to relax without complications. Fine, he says finally. Lunch. But then you're going to explain exactly what you think you're accomplishing here. As we head toward the restaurant, I catch Linda frantically texting someone. Probably her sister or best friend, trying to figure out how to salvage a honeymoon that's turning into a family therapy session. I almost feel bad for her. Almost. The lunch from hell begins innocently enough. We're seated at a prime beachfront table. Linda probably requested it specifically for the Instagram potential, and the waiter brings us menus with an enthusiasm that suggests he hasn't yet picked up on the family dysfunction radiating from our little group. The conch fritters are exceptional, he tells us cheerfully. And our lobster thermidor is perfect for celebrating special occasions. It's their honeymoon, I announce brightly, and Linda's smile becomes so forced I'm worried her face might crack. Isn't that romantic? Dad and Linda just got married last week. The waiter beams at them. Congratulations. We'll have to send over some champagne to celebrate. That's really not necessary, Linda starts, but I'm already thanking him enthusiastically. That's so thoughtful. They deserve to celebrate. It's Dad's second marriage, but Linda's first, so this is extra special for her. Dad's fork clatters against his plate. Linda looks like she's trying to mentally calculate how much it would cost to have me deported from Belize. Sarah, Dad says quietly, what do you want? World peace? An end to student debt? For the cafeteria to stop serving mystery meat on Thursdays? I take a sip of my water. You'll have to be more specific. You know what I mean. Linda excuses herself to make a phone call, and I watch her pace frantically by the palm trees, gesticulating wildly at whoever's on the other end. Probably calling her travel agent to see if they can switch resorts mid-honeymoon. I want you to remember that I'm your daughter, I say once she's out of earshot. Of course you're my daughter. You'll always be my daughter. Really? Because at your wedding, I felt more like a distant cousin you invited out of obligation. Dad runs his hand through his hair, the same gesture he's done since I was little when he's stressed. For a moment, he looks less like the blissful newlywed and more like my father. The wedding was complicated, he admits. Linda wanted her kids to feel included. What about me feeling included? What about me mattering at all? You do matter. Mom's ring says otherwise. He flinches. Linda doesn't know the full story about the ring. I should have told you. You should have kept it in the family instead of using it as a prop for your do-over marriage. Linda returns, sliding back into her chair with a determined smile of someone who's decided to regain control of the situation. So Sarah, she says with toxic sweetness, your father mentioned you're studying psychology. How fascinating. Are you planning to specialize in any particular area? Family therapy, actually. I'm particularly interested in loyalty binds and how parents sometimes sacrifice relationships with their biological children to avoid conflict with new partners. Linda's champagne glass freezes halfway to her lips. That's specific. I like to study what I know. I turn to Dad. Speaking of which, how are Jake and Emma adjusting to having you as a stepdad? It must be hard for them, losing their father's attention when he died and then having to share their mom. Their father didn't die, Linda says sharply. He moved to California. Oh. I let that hang in the air for a moment. So they have a living father and a stepfather, but I just have, what exactly? Because lately it feels like I don't have a father at all. The champagne arrives with perfect timing, the waiter popping the cork with a celebratory flourish that couldn't be more inappropriate for the tension at our table. To new beginnings, he announces. I raise my water glass with a smile that would make Linda proud. To family, I counter, looking directly at Dad. All of it. Even the complicated parts. Dad's face goes white as he realizes I'm not going anywhere. The afternoon gets worse when I accidentally run into them at their couple's snorkeling excursion. I'm already in the water when their private boat arrives, having booked myself onto the standard group tour that hits the same reef 20 minutes earlier. The timing is perfect. I'm floating peacefully near the coral when I spot Dad's distinctive red swim trunks and Linda's designer snorkel gear approaching their secluded romantic spot. Sarah? Dad's voice carries across the water, and I can hear the horror even through his snorkel mask. Oh my god, what are the odds? I call back, swimming over with enthusiastic strokes. This reef is amazing. Have you seen the angelfish yet? The snorkeling guide, a weathered local man named Carlos who's probably seen every type of tourist drama imaginable, looks between us with growing amusement. You know each other? He asks. Family, I explain cheerfully, treading water next to their boat. We're all here celebrating Dad's honeymoon. Carlos raises his eyebrows but doesn't comment. Linda surfaces from her first dive looking like a drowned rat, her waterproof mascara clearly not as waterproof as advertised. The current is stronger than I expected, she gasps, clinging to the boat ladder. Oh, you get used to it, I say helpfully. I've been out here for an hour. The trick is to relax and go with the flow. Fighting it just makes everything harder. Dad catches the double meaning and shoots me a warning look. Maybe we should try a different spot, Linda suggests weakly. Nonsense, Carlos says. This is the best reef on this side of the island. Perfect visibility, lots of marine life. Very romantic for couples. He gestures toward a cluster of brain coral about 30 yards away. The sea turtles like to feed over there around this time of day. Very special to see together. Sea turtles. I exclaim. I haven't seen any yet. Mind if I swim over with you guys? Before anyone can object, I'm already heading toward the coral, my fins cutting efficiently through the water. Behind me, I hear Linda hiss something to Dad that's lost in the waves. The next 20 minutes are a masterclass in strategic positioning. Every time Dad and Linda try to have a romantic underwater moment, I'm somehow already there, pointing out interesting fish or helpfully adjusting Linda's mask when it fogs up. When they surface for air, I'm floating nearby with fascinating facts about marine biology that I definitely didn't learn in my psychology classes. Did you know that parrotfish can change their gender when environmental conditions shift? I share while Linda struggles with her snorkel. They adapt to survive. Pretty amazing how nature handles family restructuring. Dad's had enough. He swims over to me while Linda attempts to photograph an angelfish for her Instagram. This has to stop, he says in a low voice. What has to stop? I'm just enjoying the reef. You're sabotaging our honeymoon. I'm participating in water sports. There's a difference. Sarah, please. I'm asking you as your father. Are you? My father? The question comes out sharper than I intended. Because fathers usually remember to include their daughters in important family moments. They don't use their dead wife's jewelry as wedding props. They don't demote their kids to usher status while elevating their stepchildren to the wedding party. It wasn't like that. Then what was it like? Explain it to me, because from where I was sitting, in the back row, it looked exactly like that. A sea turtle chooses that moment to surface between us, its ancient eyes blinking slowly before it disappears back into the depths. Even the wildlife is trying to escape this conversation. Your mother wouldn't want this, Dad says finally. Mom wouldn't want a lot of things that have happened in the last 3 years. Linda paddles over, having apparently given up on underwater photography. I think I'm getting seasick, she announces. Can we head back? Of course, honey. Dad immediately shifts into concerned husband mode. Carlos, can you take us back to shore? No problem, Carlos replies. What about you, miss? Ready to head back? I glance at my waterproof watch. Their sunset dinner reservation is in 3 hours, and I still need to check in with the restaurant about the special arrangement I made this morning. Actually, I think I'll stay out a bit longer. This has been so relaxing. As their boat putters away, I hear Linda's voice carrying across the water, completely inappropriate, need to do something, ruining everything. I float on my back, staring up at the perfect blue sky, and wonder if Mom would actually disapprove of what I'm doing. Probably. She always was the peacemaker, the one who smoothed over conflicts and found compromises. But Mom never had to watch someone else wear her ring while her daughter got erased from the family photo. Sometimes peace isn't worth keeping. The sunset dinner disaster unfolds exactly as I planned, which is to say it goes spectacularly wrong for everyone involved. I'm already seated at the beachside restaurant when Dad and Linda arrive for their romantic table for two reservation. They look like they've spent the afternoon in damage control mode. Linda's hair is perfectly styled again, and Dad's wearing the kind of forced smile that suggests they've had several intense conversations about the Sarah situation. They don't see me at first. I'm tucked away at a small table near the bar, close enough to observe but far enough to maintain plausible deniability. The hostess leads them to their prime beachfront spot, white linens, rose petals, tiki torches creating that perfect Instagram ambience Linda's been craving. That's when my carefully orchestrated surprise kicks in. Mr. and Mrs. Harrison? The server approaches their table with a confused expression. I have a message from your daughter. She wanted me to send over a bottle of champagne to celebrate your honeymoon. Dad's face goes through several interesting color changes while Linda's grip on her menu tightens enough to leave fingerprints. Our daughter? Linda repeats faintly. Yes, she's dining with us tonight as well. Sarah Harrison? Lovely young woman. She specifically requested our most expensive champagne for your table, said her father deserves only the best for his special week. The server gestures toward my corner table, and I give him an enthusiastic wave. Dad looks like he's contemplating whether drowning in the Caribbean would be preferable to this moment. She also wanted to make sure you got the anniversary cake she pre-ordered. Very thoughtful daughter you have there. Anniversary cake? Linda's voice hits that dolphin pitch again. Well, she said it was to celebrate new beginnings. Should I bring it out with dessert? Before either of them can respond, the server bounces away to fetch the champagne, clearly delighted to be part of what he assumes is a heartwarming family celebration. I watch Linda lean across the table, her whispered conversation with Dad becoming increasingly animated. Her carefully applied lipstick starts to fade as she gnaws on her bottom lip, and Dad keeps running his hands through his hair until it's completely disheveled. The champagne arrives with great fanfare, Dom Perignon, which cost me 2 weeks of grocery money but is absolutely worth it to see Linda's expression. The server makes a big show of popping the cork and pouring their glasses while other diners turn to smile at the celebrating couple. From your daughter, the server announces loudly enough for half the restaurant to hear. She says she's so happy you found love again after her mother passed. If the snorkeling incident was a gentle warning shot, this is a direct hit. Linda's face cycles through emotions so quickly I'm getting dizzy just watching. The romantic dinner she's probably been planning for months is now a public family drama with an audience of curious tourists. Dad stands up abruptly, his chair scraping against the wooden deck. Excuse me for just a moment, he tells Linda, then walks directly toward my table with the determined stride of someone who's reached their breaking point. Enjoying dinner? I ask sweetly as he reaches my corner. We need to talk. Now. We are talking. Isn't this nice? Just like old times, family dinner out. This isn't family dinner. This is you systematically destroying our honeymoon, and it ends tonight. The threat in his voice is real, but so is the desperation underneath it. For the first time since I arrived in Belize, I see a crack in his newfound happiness. Or what? I ask quietly. You'll cut me out of your life completely? Seems like you're already halfway there. Dad glances back at Linda, who's staring at us from across the restaurant with barely concealed panic. What do you want from me, Sarah? Just tell me what it will take for you to stop this. I meet his eyes, the same brown eyes I inherited from him, and realize I finally have his complete attention for the first time in 3 years. I want you to choose me, I say simply. Just once, I want to matter more than keeping Linda happy. The words hang between us like a challenge, and I can see him calculating the cost of either choice. The silence stretches between us for what feels like forever. Dad glances back at Linda, who's now openly staring at our confrontation while other diners pretend not to notice the family drama unfolding in paradise. Sarah, he says finally, his voice strained. This isn't the time or place. When is the time? I interrupt. Because I've been waiting 3 years for you to have this conversation with me, and you keep finding excuses to avoid it. Before he can respond, my phone buzzes with a text. It's from an unknown number, but the message makes my blood run cold. Having fun ruining their honeymoon? Maybe it's time someone ruined yours. I look up sharply, scanning the restaurant. Linda's phone is in her hand, and she's wearing a smile that doesn't reach her eyes. Problem? Dad asks, noticing my expression. Another text comes through. Jake told me some interesting things about your college fund. Would be a shame if certain financial information got shared with the wrong people. My stomach drops. Linda couldn't possibly know about, but then I remember Jake's smug expression at the wedding, the way he always seemed to be lurking around corners when I visited Dad's house. That little psychopath has been collecting ammunition for his mother. Nothing, I lie, shoving my phone into my purse. Just Chloe checking in. But Linda's not done. A third text arrives. Pretty expensive vacation for someone on financial aid. Sure, your scholarship committee would love to hear about your spring break spending habits. The threat hits home. She's absolutely right. Blowing my emergency fund on revenge tourism would look terrible if it got back to the financial aid office. Irresponsible spending isn't exactly grounds for losing my scholarships, but it wouldn't help my case when grants come up for renewal. Dad's still waiting for an answer, but now I'm trying to figure out how Linda could have gotten that information. Unless. Jake. He was always hanging around when I helped Dad with his computer, always asking questions about college and how I paid for it. I thought he was just being curious, but apparently he was gathering intelligence. Look, Dad says, his voice softer now. I know things have been complicated since Linda and I got together. Maybe when we get back home, we can sit down and talk about. About what? How you're going to keep choosing her feelings over mine. Another text comes through, and I don't even look at it. About how I should just accept being demoted to occasional visitor in your life. That's not fair. None of this is fair, Dad. But at least now I have your attention. Linda appears at his shoulder like a designer-clad specter, her smile sharp enough to cut glass. Is everything all right over here? She asks with fake concern. People are starting to stare. She's right. Our intense conversation has drawn curious glances from other diners who were expecting a peaceful romantic evening, not front-row seats to family therapy. Everything's fine, Dad says quickly. Sarah was just leaving, Linda interrupts smoothly. Weren't you, sweetheart? I'm sure you have studying to catch up on. The condescending tone makes my teeth clench, but her knowing smile tells me she's holding all the cards now. One phone call to my school, and this whole revenge fantasy becomes the most expensive mistake of my life. Actually, I say, standing up slowly, I was thinking of extending my stay. Maybe changing my flight to leave when you do. We could all fly back together, like a family. Linda's smile falters, and I see panic flicker behind her perfectly applied makeup. She thought her threats would send me running, but she's about to learn that cornered animals fight dirty. This war is just getting started. The next morning brings an unexpected twist that changes everything. I'm having breakfast on my balcony, plotting my next move against Linda's threats, when I hear shouting from the honeymoon suite 2 floors below. How could you not tell me she was your daughter? Linda's voice carries clearly in the still morning air, her careful composure completely shattered. Do you have any idea how humiliated I am? The entire resort staff thinks we're some kind of dysfunctional circus act. Dad's response is quieter, but I catch fragments. Didn't think she'd actually come here. And, trying to handle this. Handle this? Handle this? Something crashes, probably one of those overpriced resort coffee mugs. She's been systematically sabotaging every romantic moment we'd planned. The snorkeling, dinner, that massage fiasco, she's making us look like idiots. I lean closer to the railing, not even pretending I'm not eavesdropping anymore. Linda, please keep your voice down. Don't you dare tell me to keep my voice down. I spent 6 months planning this honeymoon. 6 months. And your spoiled brat of a daughter swoops in and ruins everything because she can't handle sharing Daddy's attention. The words hit like a slap. Spoiled brat. Coming from a woman who insisted on a destination wedding, designer everything, and my dead mother's ring because her finger deserved something special. That's enough, Dad says, his voice finally carrying some authority. Don't talk about Sarah that way. I'll talk about her however I want. She's not even my real stepdaughter, she's just baggage from your first marriage that you're too guilty to deal with properly. Baggage. She called me baggage. The silence that follows is deafening. I'm gripping the balcony railing so hard my knuckles are white, waiting for Dad to defend me, to tell Linda that's completely unacceptable, to finally stand up for his daughter. Instead, I hear, she'll be gone in a few days. Let's just try to salvage what's left of our trip. No defense. No correction. Just, damage control. Something inside me snaps completely. Not the controlled anger I've been channeling into strategic revenge, but pure, white-hot rage. 3 years of being sidelined, dismissed, and erased, and this is how he responds when his new wife calls his daughter baggage? I'm done playing games. 20 minutes later, I'm at the resort's business center, fingers flying over the keyboard. If Linda wants to threaten my scholarships and financial aid, she's about to learn that too can play the research game. Social media is a beautiful thing when you're hunting for ammunition. Linda's Instagram is a goldmine of oversharing, expensive purchases tagged with locations, restaurant check-ins at places that cost more than my monthly budget, shopping sprees that suggest her dental hygienist's salary doesn't quite cover her lifestyle. But it's her Facebook posts that really catch my attention. Specifically, the ones about Jake's private tutoring sessions and Emma's elite gymnastics coaching. Both paid for in cash, according to her proud mommy updates. Interesting, considering she claimed on her tax returns, which I glimpsed when she carelessly left them on Dad's kitchen table last month, that the kids' activities were financial hardships. Then there's the real estate records. Public information is wonderful when you know where to look. Linda's been claiming her ex-husband doesn't pay child support, but property records show he's been faithfully making payments on the house she lives in. The same house she told Dad was about to go into foreclosure before they moved in together. My phone buzzes with another threatening text from her. Last warning, Sarah. Back off or face the consequences. I take a screenshot and add it to my growing file. Then I start typing my response. Funny thing about consequences, Linda. They work both ways. Check your email in 5 minutes. We need to talk. I hit send on the email and lean back in the business center chair, my heart hammering against my ribs. The message contains everything: screenshots of Linda's inconsistent financial claims, property records showing her ex-husband's payments, and tax documents that don't match her sob stories about being a struggling single mother. But as the adrenaline fades, doubt creeps in. What am I actually doing here? This has spiraled so far beyond getting Dad's attention that I barely recognize myself anymore. Mom would be horrified to see me digging through public records and making threats like some kind of private investigator gone rogue. My phone rings. Linda. You vindictive little bitch, she hisses the moment I answer. How dare you? Careful, I interrupt, surprised by how calm my voice sounds. You're on speaker in a public business center. Wouldn't want more witnesses to your charming personality. She lowers her voice to a venomous whisper. Delete those files. Now. Or what? You'll call my financial aid office? Go ahead. I'd love to explain to them why my father's new wife is harassing me about my spring break plans. I'm sure they'd find that very interesting. This isn't over. You're right. It's not. I pause, watching a resort employee water the plants outside the window. Everything here is so perfectly manicured, so artificially beautiful. Just like the life Linda's been trying to construct. I want to meet. Just you and me. The poolside bar in an hour. Absolutely not. Then I guess those documents get shared with some interesting parties. Did you know the IRS has a whistleblower program? Very thorough investigators, from what I hear. The line goes dead. 53 minutes later, I'm nursing a virgin mojito at the poolside bar when Linda appears. She looks like she's aged 5 years since yesterday, her perfect vacation hair is hastily pulled back, and there are stress lines around her eyes that her expensive concealer can't quite hide. She slides into the chair across from me without ordering anything. What do you want? She asks bluntly. Honestly? I'm not sure anymore. The admission surprises us both. This was supposed to be about getting my dad's attention. Making him remember that I exist. Well, congratulations. You've successfully ruined our honeymoon. Are you happy now? I study her face, looking for any sign of the woman who charmed my father into forgetting about his first family. Without the perfect makeup and designer clothes, she just looks tired. Human. Are you? I ask. Happy, I mean. Because from where I'm sitting, you seem pretty miserable for someone living her dream life. Linda's laugh is bitter. Dream life? Your father spends half his time guilty about you and the other half trying to manage my kids. Jake's been acting out since the wedding because he's jealous of the attention your dad gives Emma. Emma won't stop asking when her real daddy is coming to visit. And now you show up like some kind of vengeful ghost to remind everyone that we're all just playing house. The honesty catches me off guard. This isn't the manipulative stepmother from my imagination, this is a woman who's in over her head and drowning. Then why? I ask quietly. Why push me out? Why make it feel like there's no room for me in his life anymore? Linda stares at the pool for a long moment. Because I was terrified you'd take him away from me. Take him away? He's my father. Exactly. She finally looks at me directly. You're his real family. His history. I'm just the sequel nobody asked for. The admission hangs between us like a confession neither of us expected. For a moment, Linda looks less like the polished woman who stole my father and more like someone who's been fighting the same battle from the opposite side. That's ridiculous, I say finally. You won. You got the ring, the wedding, the perfect blended family photos. I'm the one sitting in the back row. You think I won? Linda laughs, but there's no humor in it. Sarah, your father talks about your mother every single day. Every single day. He keeps her picture in his wallet behind our wedding photo. When Jake asked why we couldn't go to Disney World for our honeymoon, your dad said it was because that's where he took you when you were 12, and it felt wrong to make new memories there. My chest tightens. I had no idea he even remembered that trip. The ring, she continues, her voice getting smaller. I had to beg him for months to let me wear it. He kept saying it didn't feel right, that it belonged to Sarah's mom. Not even my late wife or my first marriage. Sarah's mom. Like your ownership superseded everything else. Good, I snap, but the word comes out weaker than I intended. Is it? Because living in a dead woman's shadow isn't exactly the fairy tale I signed up for. Linda's composure is cracking completely now. Do you know what it's like planning a wedding when your fiancé keeps saying things like, well, when Sarah's mom and I got married, we did it this way? Or trying to decorate a house when half of it is shrine to a marriage that ended 20 years ago? 7 years, I correct automatically. Mom died 7 years ago. But their marriage ended before that, didn't it? She was sick for a long time. Your father's been mourning for practically half your life, and I thought maybe I could help him heal. Help all of us move forward. The pool area is getting crowded with the lunch rush, families claiming chairs and kids cannonballing into the shallow end. Normal people having normal vacations, not whatever psychological warfare this has become. By erasing me? I ask. By not competing with a ghost. Linda fidgets with Mom's ring, twisting it around her finger. Every time you're around, he gets this look. Like he's seeing her again, remembering what he lost. How am I supposed to build a marriage on that foundation? So you decided to remove the foundation entirely. I decided to try to create some space for us to exist. She pauses. But you're right. I pushed too hard. The wedding seating, the ring, making you feel unwelcome. I was so focused on protecting my relationship that I forgot you're not actually my competition. You're his daughter. A kid near the pool starts crying because his sister splashed him, and their mother swoops in with practiced efficiency, mediating the conflict with a kind of patience I wish adults could manage. It strikes me how much simpler family drama is when you're 8 years old. The financial threats, I say quietly. The stuff about my scholarships. Linda winces. Panic move. Jake heard some things when you were helping your dad with his computer, and I thought. I thought if I could scare you off, we could all just pretend this week never happened. Your kid's been spying on me? My kid's been trying to protect what he sees as his family. Same as you, really. She looks at me with something that might be understanding. We're all just trying to figure out where we fit. The irony hits me like a slap. I came here to prove I belonged in Dad's life, and Linda's been fighting the same battle from day one. We've been circling each other like territorial animals, when maybe the real problem is that Dad never figured out how to make room for everyone. This is so messed up, I mutter. Yeah, Linda agrees. It really is. My phone buzzes with a text from Dad. Please come to our suite. We need to talk. All of us. Linda's phone chimes with the same message. She looks at me with tired eyes. Ready to face the music? The walk to Dad's honeymoon suite feels like a death march. Linda and I don't speak, but there's a weird solidarity in our shared dread. Whatever's waiting for us behind that door, it's not going to be pleasant. Dad opens before we can knock, his face grim. He's still in his swim trunks from this morning, hair disheveled like he's been running his hands through it for hours. The pristine honeymoon suite behind him looks like a tornado hit it, pillows scattered, room service trays abandoned, Linda's clothes draped over every surface like she's been stress packing and unpacking. Come in, he says quietly. The three of us settle in the living area with all the enthusiasm of people attending a funeral. Dad takes the chair across from the couch where Linda and I sit on opposite ends, carefully maintaining distance like we might contaminate each other. I've been doing a lot of thinking, Dad starts, then stops. Starts again. About this whole situation. About how we got here. Linda fidgets with her ring, Mom's ring, twisting it around her finger in nervous circles. I called my therapist this morning, he continues, and both Linda and I look up in surprise. Dr. Martinez. Had an emergency session over the phone. You've been in therapy? I ask. Since your mom got sick, actually. Grief counseling that turned into other things. He rubs his forehead. She helped me understand some things about the choices I've been making. Linda shifts uncomfortably. What kind of things? Like how I've been trying to compartmentalize my life instead of actually blending it. How I've been so afraid of losing what I have with Linda that I've been willing to sacrifice what I have with Sarah. And how that's not fair to anyone. The words hang in the air like an admission of guilt. I feel a flutter of hope, but I'm afraid to trust it. Sarah, he says, turning to me directly. What you did, showing up here, disrupting our honeymoon, it was wrong. But the fact that you felt like you had to do something this drastic to get my attention? That's on me. Dad. No, let me finish. Dr. Martinez asked me something today that I couldn't answer. She asked when was the last time I chose you over Linda's comfort. When was the last time I put your needs first, even when it might cause conflict? He pauses. I couldn't think of a single example in the last 3 years. Linda makes a soft sound, somewhere between a gasp and a sigh. And Linda, he continues, the way you've been handling Sarah, the exclusion, the threats, trying to push her out, that's not the woman I fell in love with. That's someone acting out of fear. I was trying to protect us, Linda starts. By declaring war on my daughter. How did you think that was going to end? The question lands like a bomb. Linda's face crumbles, and for a moment she looks younger, more vulnerable. I don't know, she whispers. I was so tired of feeling like I was competing with a memory. Like I could never measure up to what you had before. So you decided to erase what came before entirely, I say, unable to keep the bitterness out of my voice. Dad stands up abruptly, starting to pace in a small space. This is what Dr. Martinez meant about compartmentalizing. I've been treating you two like you're incompatible parts of my life instead of figuring out how to make it work for everyone. My phone buzzes. Then Linda's. Then Dad's. We all check our messages simultaneously, and I watch the color drain from Dad's face as he reads. What? Linda asks sharply. Jake, Dad says quietly. He's been posting on social media. About the honeymoon. About all of this. I grab my phone and check Instagram. Jake's account is public, and his latest story makes my stomach drop. Photos of the resort, captions about family drama in paradise, and worst of all, a video he must have taken from their balcony of my confrontation with Dad at dinner last night. The caption reads, when your stepmom's crazy stepdaughter crashes the honeymoon grimacing face #family drama #awkward #send help. 43 people have viewed it already, Linda says, her voice hollow. Including my sister. And your brother, she adds to Dad. The posts get worse as we scroll. Jake's been documenting everything with a gleeful malice only a 13-year-old can manage. Our snorkeling encounter. The spa incident. Even a distant shot of Linda and me at the poolside bar earlier, caption peace talks or plotting murder? Thinking face. He's been watching us this whole time, I realize with growing horror. How is that even possible? Kids Club has Wi-Fi, Linda says weakly. And phones. Oh God, Emma's probably seen all of this too. Dad's phone starts ringing. Then Linda's. Then mine. We stare at each other as the devices buzz insistently, the sound filling the suite like an alarm. Well, Dad says finally, I guess our family problems just went public. The phones keep ringing, but none of us move to answer them. We sit in the honeymoon suite surrounded by the wreckage of 3 days of family warfare, staring at a 13-year-old social media posts that have just broadcast our dysfunction to the world. Turn them off, Dad says suddenly. All of them. Turn the phones off. We do, and the silence that follows is almost worse than the noise. Now it's just the three of us and the mess we've created. Dr. Martinez said something else, Dad continues after a moment. She said that sometimes families have to hit rock bottom before they can rebuild on solid ground. Linda lets out a laugh that's half sob. Well, mission accomplished. My 13-year-old just turned our honeymoon into a viral family therapy session. Good, I say, surprising myself. Maybe now we can stop pretending everything is fine when it's clearly not. Dad looks at me with something I haven't seen in years, respect. Not the patronizing good job, kiddo respect, but actual regard for my opinion. You're right, he says. We've been pretending. All of us. He sits back down, leaning forward with his elbows on his knees. I've been pretending that I could keep everyone happy by avoiding conflict. Linda, you've been pretending that erasing Sarah would solve our problems. And Sarah, you've been pretending that dramatic revenge would fix years of feeling invisible. Each accusation stings because it's true. So what now? Linda asks quietly. Where do we go from here? Dad reaches into his pocket and pulls out his wallet. He opens it, and I see what Linda mentioned earlier, Mom's picture tucked behind their wedding photo. He takes it out, studies it for a moment, then looks at both of us. We start over. With honesty this time. He turns to Linda first. I've been using grief as an excuse to avoid making hard choices. You deserve a husband who chooses you every day, not someone who's too afraid of conflict to stand up for what's right. Then he looks at me. And you deserve a father who doesn't make you compete for his attention. Who includes you in important moments instead of pushing you to the sidelines to keep everyone else comfortable. Linda slowly slides Mom's ring off her finger. This was never really mine, was it? No, Dad says gently. It wasn't. And I should have realized that before I let you wear it. She holds it out to me, and I see tears in her eyes. I'm sorry, Sarah. For all of it. The ring, the wedding, making you feel like you didn't belong. I was so scared of losing him that I forgot you weren't my enemy. I take the ring, feeling its familiar weight in my palm. But instead of the triumph I expected, I feel something closer to relief. I'm sorry too, I tell her. For sabotaging your honeymoon. For the threats and the stalking and turning your romantic getaway into psychological warfare. Dad clears his throat. We're all going to family therapy when we get home. Real therapy, not emergency phone sessions from paradise. And Linda, Jake needs consequences for broadcasting our private family business. Agreed, she says firmly. No phone privileges for a month. What about us? I ask. How do we fix this? Dad stands up and does something he hasn't done in 3 years. He pulls me into a real hug. Not the awkward side squeeze from the wedding, but the kind of dad hug I remember from childhood. We practice, he says simply. We practice choosing each other, even when it's hard. Even when it causes conflict. Linda joins the hug, tentatively at first, then with genuine warmth. Family therapy in paradise, she says with a shaky laugh. At least we'll have good stories to tell Dr. Martinez. Outside, I can hear other resort guests enjoying their normal, drama-free vacations. But for the first time in 3 years, I feel like I might actually have a family worth fighting for again.